Boom, we are live. Welcome to Tokyo Tonight 2. Sorry I'm 10 minutes late. I've been tidying up, and believe me, you don't want to see the rest of this room at the moment. It is a mess. I got a little bit distracted, so I didn't have much time to set up, but hey, it's all good. I am here, you are here, we are here. Welcome. Hope you're all having a good night, or a good day, or morning, or wherever you are. A happy birthday there to Tai Nakamura. I see that, yeah, 34 did you say there in the comments there somewhere, but is that right? I always thought you were younger than that, actually. But cool, and you're coming to Japan really soon, man. That's going to be awesome. No, we got to hang out when you do that. I mean, I think you'll be here for the Hanami, but we got to find some place we can jam or do something like fun like that as well. So that will be awesome. But anyway, big happy birthday to you. Who are we on here tonight? I don't have the music tonight. The music is coming back. I did figure out how to level the sound on my iTunes, but I didn't have time to download all the songs and create a playlist in iTunes to use the sound normalization. I really do want to do that. Maybe what I just do is I just play it like live in the background beside me. In fact, that's actually not a bad idea. In fact, maybe that's what I will do right now. That way I can hear it and I can actually show you on the iPad. That is awesome. That is the magic of live TV. Speaking of which, I hope that this is working. Let me just scroll down the most recent comment and make sure that it works. Zach is LGBT. He's all of them. He is all of the above. He's an amazing person. Oh, thank heaven, Mr. Kordychep. I thought for a minute that there was no sound. Yeah, so Tai Nakamura, look out in Zach's Facebook. There is going to be the Hanami, the YouTube Hanami is going to be on April 1st. If you're going to be around Tokyo, I hope you're going to be in Tokyo. It would be a good thing. So let me go into my SoundCloud. I haven't updated this lately either. I uploaded a new track the other day, but I have just been rushing around. But you know what? I can do this. We can play the Hot 25, and I can just play it here in the background where I can hear it, so it doesn't need to go straight through. That is a really, really good idea. So let's go into the playlists, and there's the full one, but I wanted the digital Tokyo Digital Crew Hot 25. There it is, right there, ba-boom. In fact, I'm going to take down the player window out of the way so I can check my monitor screen. Aotearoa, New Zealand. That's what it is. So this is not updated for the most recent tracks. Okay, so I can hear that. So that's just as annoying to me now as it is to you, and I can correct the sound. It's going to be a bit tinny, I guess. You're not going to get much bass out of that. But this is Racer Boy, which is my track, Techno one. But I'll keep you up on the tracks as they go through. So yeah. How's your week been, everybody? It's been an interesting one for me. It is still a bit messy around me. I love these things. Yeah, in fact, I'm worried if I take this out, it might sync or cause some weirdness on my iPhone. But these are awesome. I love to just have like one in my ear. Not two looks wrong. But anyway, these are awesome, and I hope you're all doing well. So who is in the room? We got DJ Okawari, we got Boom Again Too Soon, says Robert Old Dude, Dark Moon Horror, Mata Gaijin Ka, Robert Old Dude, Dark Moon Horror again there, Mr. Kordychep, the Sergeant Bilko, good to see you. Who else we got in here? We got Theodore Sharp, hey, good to see you, man. Who else we got? We got there's Phoenix, there's Theodore Sharp, there's Tai Nakamura, good to see that, and oh, I am the birthday gift. Well, you have very, very low expectations, but I'm happy to help you fulfill them. Who else we got in here? Colurio229. Hey, it's the first time I've seen that username, I think. So, well, welcome. It's nice to see new names come in and check this out, especially on such short notice. In fact, I'm really impressed with everybody there. But yes, so what else we got here? We have Tomar Hooper. There's another name that I don't know in Afternoon, so I'm guessing you must be in the UK. And Hemmingford Grey 62, Herb Toker. Hey, we got the whole gang here. It is awesome, in good levels. So what do you know? We'll try to keep onto those levels. So what we've got in terms of the topics, we've got lots of stuff here. But yeah, Sumo. That is right. I guess you read the same sites as Zach. It's interesting. They are offering a special support finding LGBT tolerant landlords. Oh, it's an interesting one. I actually don't know that much about this being an issue, but that's because obviously I have my own issues to deal with when I look for apartments. The biggest one normally being that I don't have, a hoshoni and a Japanese guarantor. But I suppose, especially when you get outside of Tokyo, even though within Tokyo as well, you run into these things, you run into all sorts of prejudices and so on. It's getting better, but I've never heard of specific discrimination against LGBT people looking for apartments. But there again, I suppose if you want to know that these people are LGBT friendly, it's pretty good to know actually. And yeah, if you're looking for an apartment, Sumo is one of the biggest sites, and so I guess it's a nice differentiator. Hey Patrick, that's our man in Abiko. First time here. Is it your first time here? I've been like following your Twitter for years and years and years. Patrick Sheriff, right there. He was the guy who published the 246, the March 11 earthquake book and the experiences of it by different foreigners, and he's like a total Twitter legend. Mr. Chibaragi himself. It's pretty awesome to see you here, Patrick Sheriff. It's good to have you. And Christina Grace, oh my god, you're here. It's awesome. Yay. Wow, for such short notice, I am overwhelmed with the turnout. The music doesn't really come out, does it, Cross Rodan? Well, everything is a work in progress. I guess what I'll do is it says racer, but I guess I'll put this closer up to the mic. Not that that will make that much difference. In fact, this is going to be like a tinny background thing. You can kind of hear it. Maybe if you want to hear little bits of it, I'll just hold it up. It's basically video game music. It's sort of I did a whole lot of sort of happy hardcore riffs, which I made into full tracks when I was there. But yeah, money is money. Indeed, I don't understand either, Mr. Korichip. So yeah, you mean for rent discrimination? I don't really get it either, but I guess, again, it's not new, but specific catering, I guess it's a nice differentiator, especially for Sumo against Chintainet and some of the other sites. So I think that is a good thing. How to get hitched on the cheap in Tokyo? Well, the first thing is don't get married in Japan. That's what I did. I left. I didn't want to do a wedding in Japan. They have these massive, wedding factories, and I've been to a few of them. Man, weddings in Japan, they just cost money. Seriously, if you're thinking about marrying a Japanese person, I did it all Japanese style and everything, but in a country where it was cheap, and where I was related to the photographer, the justice of the peace, and yeah, it was all self-service basically. But there you go. That was an interesting one, I thought. SpaceX, the awesome people who are going to take us to Mars, and I imagine they're oversold for tickets at the moment. Yeah, this is another good track of mine, by the way. This is a Girl Gamer. I made this a few weeks ago. I really like this one actually, and it actually is done quite well. Got me a lot of likes. Again, you're only going to hear lots of hi-hats probably, based on the levels. But it's drum and bass. Drum and bass is kind of my thing when I matured out of the happy hardcore stuff. Phoenix 787, the optimistic weatherman. I still have said for the whole 18 years I've been in Japan, it's not a smart thing to set the date for a hanami like 4 months out, but you did pick the statistical best weekend for it. And provided we don't have too many days like tomorrow where it's going to be 18 degrees, provided we don't have too many of those, you could end up being right. But who knows? Anyway, it should be a good party, and if all else fails, go to the hub. I've already told you guys about that before. I want to go to the Mars, but apparently the first test flights won't be in 2018, they'll be in 2020, but I'll give them a couple of years because I want them to get it right. Humidifiers, you need those in Japan. I've got mine going at the moment. Actually, now it's getting to spring in Japan. You do start to get a bit more of humidity, and that's good. But even today, I was coaching kids rugby on this dusty field with kids falling over, and yeah, it's you get pretty dried out. I love this riff. This is the quiet bit. This track came out well. I mean, all my tracks come out good, but this one came out quite good. I was very happy with it. Airbnb is getting sued. Pretty much the Uber thing, right? I mean, basically, for people who are breaching the terms of the lease by hosting Airbnb and getting into problems with the apartments. Yeah, they are getting sued. And I guess this is the the bumpy beginning of the of the sharing economy. It is interesting, with Uber as well. I mean, Uber doesn't give a shit about its drivers, or at least it appears. I don't know. We don't really have it in Japan, but I know it's coming up in Australia and America and places like that. You know, they're rushing straight to driverless cars, which as a user is great for me. But at the same time, you know, the whole point about when they regulate taxis, I'm generally not in favor of regulating anything, but at least if you do it, like with taxis, the whole point is that, you know, they've got to have certain, you know, background checks on the drivers and quality standards of the cars, and, you know, they're all sort of monitored and qualified, and you're running into this whole thing, you let it go. Well, what's the point in, you know, you have to pay a lot of money for those taxi ownership licenses. So with Uber, you know, you kind of, and it turns out on top of that, now they're getting sued by their own drivers, you know, and it's the same with this Airbnb thing. It's a really good idea, but obviously they've got to like iron out the kinks for it. But I'm interested in this just because it's obviously coming to Japan, and it's going to come in a big way. This has been something I'm just intellectually interested in. It's been a big deal forever. It's an interesting discussion. I'm probably going to skip it today. But the whole thing, particularly about how you have like these frozen globuloids of methane at the bottom of the ocean. A lot in the Bermuda Triangle. I think it's one of the causes of the whole Bermuda Triangle thing. It's super cool, but actually there's a ton of resources on the ocean floor. But there is this thing that actually, at the moment, the commercial, it's kind of weird about it. You can't really mine the ocean floor. And it's supposed to be the same with space as well. It's not meant to be owned by whoever finds it. It's kind of awkward, but it's a really interesting legal issue as well as a you know, future resource issue. I just like everything. This is the 2chan summary site, Itai News, Ouch News, and this guy's a guy who's getting beaten up. It's a 66-year-old guy who says in response, see, there's a living thing. I don't need this. This is from PerryTune. PerryTune is like massive, all Creative Commons, royalty free, for video games, background music, and it's super good quality and gets massive downloads and likes. So it's good for background music, but the gain levels are much higher than what I use, and this is what was killing everybody when I played this last week. So I can now adjust it live. That's the advantage of that. Let me come back. Yes, so this guy is basically, apparently there was some people saying there's a term in Japanese I've raised before called rogai, which is when elderly people are accused of basically old age, causing damage to society in a general context. You know, when people basically talk about old people shutting down kindergartens because they don't like the noise, or you know, an old person, you know, runs over a bunch of school kids and is let off because they suffer from dementia and didn't do it on purpose. It's happened this week. And you know, it's not a friendly term, rogai, but it's literally old age damage. And apparently somebody was saying something about old age damage, and a 66-year-old guy who in Japan, I wouldn't consider 66 even to be elderly, actually, given that people live here to be like 110. He's saying, us 66-year-olds are the ones who made Japan, which, you know, is actually, and all the comments were basically, see, that's what we're talking about. That is old age damage happening right there. It's a funny thing. But yes, yeah, Tomo Hooper asked a question. If we have a mining accident on an asteroid, we lose an asteroid. If we have a mining accident on the ocean floor, well, you wouldn't technically lose the ocean floor, but there's already a lot of shit down there, I suppose. But yeah, you know, I mean, and you think about an asteroid, I've always thought the worst thing that could happen with an asteroid, especially given that they're talking about like bringing these asteroids into Earth orbit to mine them close by. Yeah, I can see how that could go wrong. That could be a lot worse than messing up the ocean floor. So, you know, all of these things. What do they call them? Gates and roundabouts, I suppose. Oh, no. Let's go back here. I don't want to join Facebook. Some of these comments, yeah. If you want to learn like just stupid Japanese, but like conversational smartass Japanese, which I get the feeling a lot of you would probably like to refine, this is a good site for that. Anyway, I get a lot of enjoyment from this. Yeah, Rakuten is now banning people from sending. Apparently, Rakuten trying to compete with Amazon. Sometimes when they don't have stock, they just order it from Amazon and they ask Amazon to send it to the people, which is upsetting Yahoo and Rakuten. So they're banning it. But you know, users, they're debating. Some people want to get their Rakuten points, which is what I used to use. Other people saying, well, why would you even take the extra step of going to Rakuten if they're just going to use Amazon anyway? And it's a fair point. It is really interesting how these things are how this whole market's changing at the moment in Japan. Hey, Jason is lost in Japan. Good to see you, sir. And thank you for the mail. Oh, you know what? I don't think I got back to one of your messages the other day. Oh yeah, that reminds me as well. Totally random thing. There is going to be a YouTube live streaming coaching tutorial event. I think it's next weekend actually, and I signed up for it. I'm going to make sure I can go to it, but I'm hoping to go to it, and I'm hoping to make all of this better in different ways. You know, I'm always trying to think of ways to do it that do not require much effort. So yes, I will maybe see some of you there. Anyway, and for the Creator Days, there will be more Creator Days this year. I will be, I guess, the Tokyo English language guy. But yeah, definitely hoping that those things will continue. Nite 2.5 roll guy, I quite like it. And by the way, Victor and I will be kicking off some more 2.5 Oyajis, but they will be less frequent just because I can't do Saturdays and Sundays. It was already kind of an issue before, so as I come back into it, it'll be a little bit more measured. Oh! I'm going to go back to the start of this one, because this is Tai Nakamura, the birthday boy, and he makes awesome music. In fact, I'm going to pump this one up. You know what I should do is I should connect my little Sony ball over here, my detonator thing. Can I get this into the camera? Almost. I love how you got that little shamisen sort of a sound on this. Have a listen to this. Tai, he makes awesome music. I mean, seriously. He actually... Check that out. Nudes. No one said nudes. Nope. That's very good stuff there by Tai. This is called Warface, and I think he did a really, really awesome job with this. He does, like, his music goes all over the place and does really cool stuff. So yeah, we got SpaceX trying to launch a rocket. I love that sort of stuff. This is my latest track, which I uploaded, Side C. I might play this a little bit later on. This is really old-fashioned happy hardcore. In fact, when I went back to listen, when I'm in Tokyo, I feel like making like mellow music, but when I was in Australia, where I bought all my happy hardcore, and when I was like 20 years old, for some reason I got the thing it'd be kind of fun to make a lot of video game playing. I did not do E, at least not in Australia, or when I was DJing. Back when I was young, I could actually listen to this stuff and not require medical enhancement. And so yeah, I actually really did like this sort of stuff, and it is still even good today, like for jogging or for playing video games and stuff like that. And I made a whole bunch of loops while I was just on vacation over there, happy hardcore stuff, and that is what Side C is. It's fun. It's you know, it's kind of cheesy, but it is good fun to play with. The Last Jedi is plural. We know now because of Spanish, where it's they use the describing word beside it in the plural, so they know it's actually, when they say the Last Jedi, they mean multiple. Pretty sweet. Uber. This is what we were talking about earlier as well, about Uber. It is interesting. I mean, and this is true. For seriously, probably a few years' time, they're not going to need drivers. And frankly, that's where it's all going anyway. I mean, you know, taxi driving and stuff like that. But that is an interesting thing to read. This I want to play with. I haven't played with this yet. Google wants you to ditch your friends and play duets with the computer instead. Hey, Raz Al Ghul made it. Medical enhancement, says Herb Toker, and you have the username that is the right name for making that comment. And I see that the friendly greetings begin. The best Bluetooth headsets. I'll tell you what. I've actually got both of the ones with the W1 headset. I got the Beats Solo 3. Love these. I use these for watching TV here now. Actually, I got. Yeah, I can't get this in the shop. I got, what is the maker of this? I got a TV, like a transmitter that you plug into the headphones plug on the TV screen. And I got that with a Bluetooth transmitter. And I got one that was advertising that it has really low latency and high latency, I guess. It's the mouth is pretty much in sync. And it's awesome. It's changed my life. I just go around the room now with these on, and it is awesome. But when I'm on the train and going around, these things, seriously, they've changed my life. I love these. I mean, they cost a lot of money. This is true. But, you know, I've got an iPhone, and not having the wires, I do like it. I mean, I've always got backpacks and shit going on. So it's very good to have this. Humanity's on the cusp of de-extincting the woolly mammoth. I would pay to see one of those. Apparently in South Korea, although they've had mixed history with like cloning stuff. But there again, if they could really bring back a mammoth, that would be kind of sweet. I would like to see that. A computer in coal country is analyzing climate change. The good news is I think climate change is going to be outlawed. I don't know. It looks like what's going to happen. YouTube is going to end 30-second. It will keep the 15-second and 20-second unskippable ads that sometimes appear on videos, but it will be ending the 30-second ones. Not that I've really noticed them. I mean, I'm actually kind of looking forward to YouTube Red being available here, just so that, you know, well, for a start, it's good for creators that if we can make content that can get onto it. It's, you know, I think it's nice. You get the extra content and whatever. It gives a bit of stuff for extra production rights, whatever. I'm kind of curious about just getting all that extra functionality here. So yes, I want all that. There's SpaceX. This is another one of mine. I've been making a lot of tracks lately, and the Tokyo Digital Crew's been a bit quiet. This is Sunshine Bass. This is another sort of drum and bassy. Bit light, but you know, light and fun. That's what I wanted. That's kind of freaky how they revived those microbes in the cave crystals. Capsule hotels, I still don't recommend them. I've only ever heard horror stories from them, but there again, that is something even I wanted to go and try when I first came to Japan. And there is a guide on places, ones that won't involve being in rooms with people throwing up and doing all sorts of horrible shit around you while you're trapped inside a box. You know, I've heard some bad experiences in capsule hotels, but I guess you come for the excitement, and it does look like a spaceship, and I guess that's kind of what you want. But you have to bear in mind, people who use these things are the people who didn't make the last train and or are too drunk to make it home. Isn't always the best company to be sleeping with, or near, I suppose. But it is there. This is funny. Happy Science is like they're another one of the Japan's original very politically active religious groups. And apparently one of the guys at Rocket News many years ago went to a rally for some reason and describes their disenchantment with hearing it. They made the news recently because a famous actress who had a bit of a nervous breakdown over various things. Apparently when she had some, what was the reason? I forget what the exact reason was, but she got into some, she was getting stressed out by her work, and she wanted to break her contract, and then they threatened her with fines for breaking her advertising contracts. Actually sounded a lot like what happened to a lot of porno starlets in Japan. And this is being brought out right now, and those AV companies are being sued for trying to intimidate these women into doing this against their will. But she's not that case. She's a regular TV person, but she basically said that she was quitting. She was getting out of entertainment and going into Happy Science. Happy Science sounds happy, sounds good, but they are, I'm sure they're very nice people. I don't actually know anyone who I know to be from Happy Science, but I have read they've never won a seat in Parliament, but they campaign like in every seat in every election, and they are basically they're a religious group that wants to start a war of Armageddon with China. You know, they're actually a pro-war, pro-take-over-the-world party, and they are a little bit exciting and nuts for me, but this is actually very funny, this story, and I recommend reading it. But yes, so they're the YouTube starting stopping the unskippable ads. That is a good thing. Yes, PewDiePie, there we go, the face of Disney. There's a fair point being made here. You know, did they actually know who they were getting? I mean, I don't think anyone thought with this whole, you know, anti-Semitic joke thing that that was actually his view, or that he's actually anti-Semitic. To tell the truth, I don't really give a shit about him, and I don't really give a shit about the Wall Street Journal criticizing him. But fact is, you know, even though I get it, he was trying to make a joke showing how you can pay $5 to make third world people to do, isn't this a horrible company that you can make people do these unspeakable things, and testing the limits of that with anti-Semitic humor. But in the end of the day, you know, he didn't go as far as you know, saying death to N-word or whatever, but he went about the second step from that, you know, to the Holocaust thing. And yeah, you know, Disney is not obliged to pay him money. And on the other hand as well, one thing about Maker Studios dumping him is that it's kind of funny, because Maker Studios have a very onerous, I mean, I know several people have been with Maker Studios. I haven't been with them, and I would not join them, because they have a multi-channel network agreement that is basically a slave agreement. You cannot get out of it. I mean, even if you they own your channel, they own your ad revenue, And you know, if you want to, you can't break the contract. Sometimes for 2 years, sometimes for 3 years. Ray William Johnson got into a huge lawsuit with them. It's just about impossible for them to let you go. But now people have found out how to do it. All you have to do is be a Nazi. It's pretty. I guess I wouldn't encourage becoming a Nazi just to get out of your maker contract. But there again, you know, that's if that's how they treat you, why not? But that said, with PewDiePie and the people saying that how PewDiePie's a victim, he's not a victim. It was a really stupid thing to do, and you know, he's got to take the content. I'm pretty sure no one's saying that he's a Nazi. And if they are, of course, they're idiots. But at the same time, you just don't go there with that sort of a stupid joke. So there you go. Yeah, so everyone wants to be the next Netflix, yeah, including me. I love to be the next Netflix, but yes, apparently Tinder wants to have a video site. I can think of few things that could be a worse idea than Tinder having a video site, but it would be really interesting to watch. I mean, that would be a bit like VH1, I guess a social network-based VH1. I say it like that and it actually starts to sound interesting. I would be curious to see what it becomes if we do that, but no, generally I don't see how that could be a good idea. This is another track in my... Oh man, I had a lot of tracks recently, didn't I? This is Rave Tripping. This is old-fashioned sort of rave track. And that is me back in the day when I used to do that, when I used to play. That's in Nakameguro. I used to play a couple of events down there. They were good. Miai. It's funny, I've sometimes have had issue with Nippon.com. I know the guy who edits it, Durf from Twitter. He's another good guy, like Patrick Sheriff, by the way. He chose Miai rather than Omiai. Nobody ever says Miai. It sounds like a cat noise, you know. I mean, it's Omiai, but in any case, it's basically arranged marriages, but not like you know, in the movies where you know, two poor Sicilians, you know, exchange bottles of whiskey and promise to marry off their 2-year-old kids when they get old enough. It's actually more just an introduction with it's a date that's been set up by friends or family for the purpose of introducing people for the purpose of considering getting married. It used to be almost the most common way. I mean, in the current generation still, people up until the 70s, 80s, it was still probably the most common way that people would meet and get married and have kids in Japan. And in a way, it's kind of interesting. It's like a business arrangement. You know, it's actually people sort of go into it accepting the roles. And although that sounds horrible in some levels, I think it contributes to the relatively low divorce rate. Of course, there's a lot of things that contribute to the low divorce rate in Japan, including the fact that the law is very generally has been to date unfavorable towards women. This is Joshua Matthews coming up next. This next track, this is Rebellion by Joshua Matthews. He is this guy knows how to make music. He is actually he produces stuff. He makes video game music, and hopefully you can hear this. Let me turn this up. This will build up a bit, but he makes really good music, so you should totally check out his stuff on the Tokyo Digital Crew Hot 25 list. But anyway, yeah, there we go. I love this. It's like the Grid. This reminds me of some of the Grid, which is like 1990s techno music, which most people probably don't know, so that's okay. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of funny just how they work, and I still know people who get into these, and you know, it doesn't have to be that formal. It's actually a bit like a kind of a formal, an advanced version of a Gokon. But yeah, it's nice to see an article on that, and it's pretty common, especially for people's parents' generation. Anyway, a lot of Japanese people you'll be surprised if you think that it's a rare thing. You'll be surprised if you ask them. You find out how many people's parents met through Omiya. I just got this because I'm always trying to stay up late like this, trying to get more stuff done, and I always seem to sacrifice hours of sleep because I've got to wake up at 6:20 in the morning and to get away from work and my routine. If I stay up till like 1 or 1:30, I end up that's like 5 hours and I'm just tired all day. So I like this, and it's actually kind of a it's a trick from Lifehacker. It says that you promise yourself that you're just going to lie down for 15 minutes and do your best to go to sleep, but if you still want to do stuff after that, you can do it. And most of the times you'll fall asleep. And that's kind of a good thing. I should try it, but that's why I put that there. Google needs your help building better video analysis by algorithms. I haven't looked closely into this, but I guess they do. And I'm all about getting the algorithms better, so, you know, who knows, they could actually recognize extremely good-looking person with interesting new subjects and intelligent, witty discussion Although that would probably indicate that the algorithm was not working if it said that. Well, who knows? I mean, if you guys all go and put that in, that could send this channel rocketing into the stars where it belongs. They have robots killing Zika mosquitoes. I've always had this idea. Wouldn't it be cool in the future if there were like mini robots that could just like hunt down, like shoot lasers at mosquitoes? I tend to think about this more when I live in places that have a lot of mosquitoes. It's a thing when you live in a place with a lot of mosquitoes, you tend to imagine them getting shot with lasers and robots and stuff like that, like Skynet. But yeah, Microsoft is working on it. Microsoft, props to them. They're thinking of everything lately. One thing I'm noticing, by the way, there are no Kim Jong-nam stories, and I really want to find one of those. So, this is another thing I've always thought about. Wouldn't it be cool if you could like fix all the little flaws and all the issues with your body by having little like microscopic robots go around and again shoot lasers? Pretty much everything I think about involves small things shooting lasers, but that would be cool. What is Hiko talking about? That's a good question, Mr. Kordychev. But this I've kind of thought was cool as well, the idea of that we could in the future be dealing with actual like manual coming in and attacking cancers and stuff like that in the body, as well as mosquitoes. What else we got here? Japanese 5 reasons to visit Tottori. Here we go. Now this is what I wanted to talk about tonight. I guess everybody's heard about the assassination of Kim Jong-nam. By the way, Rebecca Ann, it's Becky loves Japan. It's good to see you. Welcome. Also welcome AEUseum88. Nice to have you here as well. This track, this is Mata Gaijinka, who is in the comments tonight. Future Possibilities. There we go. This is another nice track. Mata Gaijinka is also one of the later joiners of the Tokyo Digital crew, making awesome music. So hopefully you can hear this. Been a lot of Kim Jong-nam stories all over YouTube, and there have been a lot of Kim Jong-nam stories all over every newspaper, everywhere. But what's not really getting covered in the English language media is this. This is the special love. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. I've been actually meaning to mail Anna Fifield. I was blanking out there I've been meaning to mail Anna Fifield and say, if you're looking for a fresh angle on the Kim Jong-nam story, you have to talk about how people in Japan love Masao-kun. They love Kim Jong-nam. Kim Jong-nam's kanji his name, if you read it as a Japanese name, would be Kane. Or Kin. Japanese would read that as Kin, but the two characters there, in fact, you see also from the top left of the screen there's basically the hawk, but if you flip after the dot, there's 3 characters. That's King Jong-nam, but in Japanese that would be Masao. It's a totally normal Japanese name. The thing about, like a lot of Korean people, if Korean people like dress up and they act like Japanese people, they can totally pass as Japanese people. Some more than others, but Kim Jong-nam, he's a guy who looks like a regular Japanese oji-san, and it turns out that his secret life as a traveler, where he would use a assumed passport. He got caught trying to go to Disneyland, but he made multiple trips, apparently to Japan and all over Japan. And they discovered his Twitter account with his personal photos, and there's a nice photo of him there just enjoying shimbashi, eating yakitori, and being just a nice guy. And they've caught him in Macau. He lives with his family in Macau, allegedly under Chinese government protection. The idea being that China was protecting him to sort of keep him as a reserve option if they ever wanted to get rid of Kim Jong-un and replace him with this guy. But now that the North Koreans apparently have gotten to him and assassinated him, that option is gone. And either coincidentally or not coincidentally, 2 or 3 days after this guy was assassinated in Malaysia by apparently the North Korean government, the Chinese government announced that they were stopping all purchases of coal from North Korea, and they sent back some packages, so some shipments of it. So, some serious stuff being linked around here. But the point is with this guy, media caught him a few times, and he was actually with the media. He was totally chill. He was like, they'd catch him and say, geez, I don't know what they're doing over there, and am I going to take over the country? Well, that's really up to my dad. It's not really up to me, but I'm not really that interested in it, to be honest. He always just comes across, he speaks in English, he always just comes across, even in Korea, just as a really normal person from a very abnormal family. And with all of the attention being, hey, night, Christina, with all the attention being given to North Korea, like with the abduction thing, with the missile test and everything, This guy kind of became a quasi. People were really afraid when Kim Jong-il died and his son became president. This guy was like dead. They were afraid this was going to happen to him. And there was a period where he went missing, and everyone was like actually worried about him. The Japanese public and media and these boards, they genuinely love this guy. And this talks about, they found these photos of him where, Shinbashi no yakitori ya de, Nihon no salariman to, sake o nonde hijou ni shiawase datta. It's talking about how, basically, he's posted photos talking a story about how he was in Shinbashi, the salaryman capital of Japan, drinking beer and eating the yakitori, and he just seemed really, really happy. And it talks about his account there, but the comments down here, oh, Masao, what we feel. I can't stop crying. I cried. All these people, they love him. You know, he looks probably a lot like half of the users on each channel. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. People in Japan have genuine affection for this guy. And I think this comes to the thing. Don't assume, you must never assume that Japanese just unilaterally just dislike North Korea. Japan has 300,000 North Koreans, you know, who live, most of them are born here, but they go to North Korean schools in Japan. They're not quite normal, but remember, there are 10 times more North Koreans than there are English speakers and people who look like me. There's only about 30,000 of us. There's about 350,000 Masaos in Japan. And, you know, they're in all walks of life, you know, and they're normal people. There are people, racist people who don't like them, but that's not the majority of the country at all. And people are perfectly open to accepting the idea. There's Wada Akiko. She's I believe she's from a pro-North background, North Korean, one of the most popular entertainers in Japan. There have been like North Korean idols and so on in Japan. There's not an inherent prejudice against these sort of people, and this guy is like loved, and he's not even like in Japan. So yeah, it's kind of it's nice to me. It's nice that people loved him so much, and it's, you know, it really is a shame. It was completely unnecessary, and it again just goes to show what is a fucked up regime. It's not the country. It's not North Korea. You know, I mean, they're gonna have issues getting over the current, you know, dictatorship and all that sort of stuff, but. Yeah, you know, they are, in the end of the day, normal people in a terrible situation with just a fucked up government, and they killed this guy. I mean, seriously, are you kidding me? And this guy just had no interest at all in ever like getting into politics in North Korea. And who would? I mean, who in the hell would want that? So yeah, it is really interesting. So this is a Peritune, Gothic Dark, and it is loud, so I will turn down the volume so I can do that now because I can listen to this. It's a nice thumbnail, and man, Peritune just kicks ass, actually. With all the stuff that they make. Oh, now this is another one. So there was the appropriation debate, and there was actually, I had a really great debate on my Facebook around this, and I really appreciated the contributions of M. What is it? Unimportant Hero. I also appreciate the contributions of Loco Yokohama and so on this, but M actually, he kicked it on this. Yeah, it was, I don't know where to think on this. I get that there is a technical definition of appropriation, which is basically when someone like me from the hegemonic culture, although I'm not in the hegemonic culture where I am, but let's just pretend I'm in America or New Zealand for a minute. Someone from the dominant culture decides to adopt in a quaint way, you know, it's like kids playing cowboys and Indians, right, putting on, you know, a plastic headdress and running around, and or like drunk English people doing the New Zealand All Blacks haka, you know, in a drunken fun way, making fun of it, or, you know, just stuff which is basically taking the culture of others as kind of an object of amusement and entertainment, or fetishization, for example, seems to be an issue that comes up a lot with the adoption of Japanese culture. And it's really funny to me because when this happens, the outrage always seems to happen mainly in America or Western countries, and the protests seem to come from people who are, as someone who lives in Japan, who don't own Japanese culture, be they Asian Americans who I remember there was a case with the Boston Art Museum where there was you can wear a kimono there and experience Japanese culture, and there were some you know, Asian cultural activists who started picketing the museum saying that they're appropriating Asian culture, which is so ridiculous. I mean, you know, again, if I live in Japan, so the idea that, you know, that Chinese Americans can be claiming in any way that wearing a kimono is appropriating their culture. I mean, I can get it. I can see it through their eyes. That as people who look like Asians and who live in America, and where the culture defines Asian Americanism as a culture, and everything Asian that comes into America is perhaps associated with Asian American minority culture. And in that sense, a Chinese American can be offended at white people wearing kimonos. It's actually Japanese culture. Japanese people actually don't give a shit, and actually it's kind of nice that people, and if it's done respectfully and with the proper tone, and hell, it was being done like by Japanese people in America trying to promote their culture, and this is the whole thing, and by the way, Japan appropriates culture like crazy. I mean, that's its whole history since the 1840s. So it's kind of funny. I don't know that you'd even be able to explain what appropriation is to Japanese users. They would totally. You might have these outraged Japanese American activists who would get very upset at seeing white people in kimonos, but you'd have trouble explaining to a Japanese person what there is to be offended about. I get it. It affects people from the position that they're in within that society. Even though technically, so here's what I'd say. Kimonos don't belong to Asian Americans. In fact, I would say even Japanese Americans, I would say it's not their culture, actually. I mean, they have ties to it, but it's Japanese culture. And the idea that, for example, and I use the example on Facebook, I was married in a park in New Zealand, in a hakama, which is a male kimono. I mean, I was basically doing this photo shoot. I got awesome photos. They looked awesome. I looked like a freaking samurai. It was sweet. I was like a total ninja. No, I mean, okay, now that would be appropriating, but I was definitely I did exactly what these people did, but I did it because I'm a permanent resident of Japan. Japanese culture is my adopted culture, and I'm doing it nothing but a respectful homage to this culture, which is part of my culture. If I had Chinese New Zealanders coming out in the park and saying that I'm appropriating their culture, I would have told them to go fuck themselves. I really would have. And I'm not saying that Carly Kloss, is she's obviously not a Japanese permanent resident, and apparently she seems horrified that people, I mean, the fact that you have to start a story by clarifying that she's a Caucasian American model, I do feel like this is ass backwards. I get it if the intent was to be offensive, or it was mocking, if this was like a blackface, or if this was, which, by the way, again, Japanese do all the time, but not that excuses stuff going the other way, and I understand this is within America. But, yeah, this was like, I think this is actually, personally, I think this is a good thing, but it is interesting how these things can be turned into controversies, and it is funny, again, how the people raising these controversies in America, the Asian activists raising this in America, are totally undone by people in Japan saying, hey, we don't get it, it looks fine to us. It was funny. Hey, Maraligas, good to see you back as well, and Tanaka Taro, also good to have you along, and we seem to agree that we think that this is a good thing. But yeah, it was kind of funny watching the outrage, and it did lead to a very good and interesting discussion. See, she looks hot to me. I mean, she looks good. She looks good. Seriously, I mean, I get appropriation. I get a bunch of drunk people, mocking indigenous people or black people, or, I tell you what, I mean, if people were wearing like the old-fashioned World War II glasses with the sticking out front teeth and all that sort of stuff, playing, the old racist World War II stereotypes and running around, yeah, sure, I get that. But misappropriating stuff, yeah, it would be... By the way, Patrick Sheriff, I just noticed Patrick Sheriff's comment that I keep a tight ship running with no fake news. I assure you, all the news here is fake. I mean, seriously, I think if your news is not getting labelled fake these days, you're not credible. Because seriously, the world has gone ass backwards on itself. But there you go. Anyway, she looks good. I would, yeah. So. That is a good photo. Seriously, I mean, how people are like, oh, you're appropriating my culture, and it's not even your culture, and fuck yourselves. I mean, seriously. But it gives cause for good discussion, actually, and credit to Unimportant Hero for actually spelling it out. Yeah, Tomara Hooper, that's exactly what I was about to say. And again, well, yeah, it's a slippery slope when you get into comparing which is worse, the blackface or yellowface. Even the terminology is like, geez, do we have to go there? Rey has longer hair in Star Wars. I thought you needed to know that. I shared it with you. All the news here first, and not fake. We've got 7 more minutes. Let's rock through this. NASA is recognizing that it's losing its credit, its kudos for people like me with the geeks, so they are going to launch people. Hell, they're probably just going to strap them to the side of the rocket, just so that they can shut everyone up. 2018, it will be good if they can do that. That's the Boeing rocket, I believe, as well, the SLS. That is a heavy, that's the rocket that will go to Mars, so that is a serious piece of rocket there. Shogun Itai, the birthday boy, he is back. This is Doubt Be My World. Oh man, I love this guitar sound, this sort of surfing guitar thing. It's got the Hawaii thing with this, I love this. Anyway, that's Shogun Itai from Tokyo Digital Crew. Coming to Japan soon. He makes such good music, seriously. I really, actually, really like his music. I go red easily, okay? It's global warming, it's climate change. Twitter starts temporarily restricting abusive accounts. It is amazing. It only took them 11 years to discover this. And I know some accounts that would probably just be permanently restricted as a result of this. Bronze Age Swords, I think that is kind of cool. YouTube has captioned over 1 billion auto-captioned videos. Yeah, the auto-captioned ones though, if you look at them, the quality is just not so great. Tai uses the porn guitar. If that's porn guitar, I'm switching all my music to porn guitar music, because this is a really good track. And check this out, he mixes it up. Different beat. Smooth. Pianos. Nice, nice. But I really like that. The intro riff, but I love the variations that he does as well. See, instead of this is how I rationalize. This is how I talk to myself and to rationalize. Actually, I don't pretend. You're real people. Although I've heard doubts about that in the past, but no, I know that you people are real and that you're really listening to me, so that's okay. I don't need to pretend. Facebook is offering job listings. Yeah, I really wonder about whether Facebook is where I'd want to post that I'm looking for a job, or that I'm offering a job. Hell. No, I like the fact that LinkedIn is it's a safe place for a specific purpose, but hell, you can't blame them for trying. Let's go through a few more things here. Yeah, Samsung, head of Samsung has been arrested. This does play into my theory from before. By the way, Phil Nolan, good to see you there, and Travis Moore. Hey, good to see you guys. Yeah, I think I said a while ago that Korea is pretty much fucked at the moment. And it's not to say that the country's going to collapse and the North Korea is going to invade and take over, but they're pretty screwed. And this is a part of that. The scandal that they have, and the breadth of it, is pretty broad. And it's not just this. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens when you get the conservative, because Korean politics is just crazy. And right now they've been put conservative leaders from Lee, what's his face, Lee, the previous president, and the current one. So, assuming that government's going to collapse after it loses an impeachment court case, which is going to take another 6 months, throughout which there's no credible government that's able to actually attend international meetings, and after that the government will collapse, and after that you're going to get a far left-wing South Korean government. And South Korea in the last 50 years has only had a couple of remotely left-wing governments, one by Kim Dae-jun, the other one by Roh, which was a complete disaster. But if the current left-wing South Koreans make it into government there, you're talking actually almost pro-North Korean people in charge of South Korea. So it's going to be pretty interesting times over there. But hell, the head of Samsung just got arrested. Here is another track by Shogun Itai, Lost Trail, doing the shamisen vibe thing there. It's nice sound. He does nice stuff, and I like how this one builds up later on. I like the start of the last track, but I like how this one builds up later on. So what else we got here? Yeah, they found his Facebook page. This was kind of crazy, and which also just goes to show that pictures of it, they don't. But yeah, just shows him being just a normal dude. Masaoku. It totally wasn't necessary to do that. I was talking about Roll Guy earlier. This is another case. A 88-year-old man ran over and a line of school kids, killed 7 of them, and police decided not to prosecute because he has Alzheimer's, and so they said that doesn't qualify as negligent driving. And I guess that's right, but this is why they can't bring in self-driving cars into Japan soon enough, because there are a lot of people this old who, you know, are functional enough that they are walking around and they get in the cars, 88 years old, and they drive them into kids and run them over. It makes news when this happens. Actually, Chris Rodham, that's a good reminder. This year, the Winter Olympics will be held in Pyeongchang in Korea, and I don't know. Winter Olympics to me, they don't count. I'm sorry if you live in you know, Norway or Sweden or some country that gives a shit about the Winter Olympics. I come from New Zealand, and I don't mind. I like watching, used to like watching the wide world of sports when I was a kid. I don't mind watching obscure sports. I mean, the whole cross-country skiing and then shooting at shit and then, like, you know, jumping over moguls and stuff. That's pretty cool, actually. The what do they call that? The Alpine Biathlon or whatever it is. But seriously, you know, how many Central African Republic athletes are ever going to get a medal in that? You know, I don't think it's credible. It's something like running 100 meters. You know, anyone in the world theoretically has a chance. But you know, luge and long jump. I have a problem with the Winter Olympics in general, but certainly if they happen, snowboarding. Well, snowboarding is cool, and I like snowboarding. I do like snowboarding, but seriously, I don't think it's really fair when you can only snowboard in like a quarter or less of the world's countries. But anyway, how to get rid of the annoying NHK guide. Some tips there. Reverse engineering the algorithm, which you can try to do, and I know a lot of people who have done it and have gotten good at it, but the problem is that YouTube changes the algorithm all the time, and it means that you'll be killing views, and then they tweak the algorithm, and then all of a sudden you're not getting any AdSense or any views. So I don't know, I think it's just, you should just do what comes natural, pretty much, unless that's like taking your clothes off or holding up Nazi and you know, jokes, because then you should not do what comes naturally. But if not doing those things is natural, then you should just do what comes naturally. But of course, it's always interesting to learn what the algorithm is looking for in videos, and there's some advice there. It's actually TubeFilter is a great source of information for this, so that is there if you need to find it, and it's tweeted. If it is in here, I've tweeted it, so you can go find it. And yeah, PewDiePie, the definitely not a Nazi, but person who makes jokes normalizing the Holocaust. He's thanks his supporters, and he's going to return with new videos. So good on him. And this is the whole by Alan Murabayashi. And you know what? I think I recall this person was. This was a critical article by someone with a name that indicates it, a Nikkei American, which is fine. But you know, you don't get own Japanese culture by having a Japanese surname. In the same way, I don't get to claim any cultural ownership by my surname. But you know, so yeah, a white model wearing a kimono is no different to a non-Indian wearing a Nero collar, which I think is correct, and I don't think there's any problem with anyone wearing a Nero collar. You know, the Indian short collar. I think they're kind of cool. But it was clear that she was made up as a geisha and referred to as a geisha in the essay, which most Westerners equate with a prostitute incorrectly. Yeah, sure. I don't think they're making her up. Okay, so they're going into the detail of the critic here. Is that a ninja in the background or something? And they're using them as props. Okay, I kind of get it, but who cares? Seriously. Yeah, international marriages and the problems that happen when they break up. There is that. There is the billion caption videos, which they have there in English and Japanese. PewDiePie is still there, and I think we've gotten through all we need to get through this week. We've got Peritune on Lost Place here, and that is all we got tonight. I can jam a track, but you know, I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to check out. It's past midnight. What I'm going to do is, I actually had so much fun doing a very short Japanese live. I just wanted to try out the live functionality, which I can now get with this. So I think I'm going to do another quick live Japanese video after this, kind of doing the same thing. Yes, I can do that. On my iPhone, just because it's cool that you can do mobile live things, and I will try to figure out some way that I can do a regular no Oktoberfest for non-whites. That's a horrible thing to say, Linus. Fogheart. Nice to see Fogheart got a track on here. The final track of tonight is Onwards by Fogheart. I'll be back here 11 o'clock every Sunday night because I have nothing better to do. And yeah, it's great to see all you guys in here. Thank you for joining Tokyo Tonight too, and I'll be back. And if there's any topics that you'd like me to discuss actually on the next show, feel free to contact me anytime or to mention there in the comments. But yeah, it's great to have you all here. And that's right, I did see Cool Runnings, and it is a good movie and an excellent soundtrack. The soundtrack to Cool Runnings is really, really good. And yeah, I will see you guys all later. If you want to hang around, I will do a quick 5 minutes in Japanese mobile live stream, just because that is awesome. And then I will say goodnight. So okay, peace. Have a good week, everybody. I have to end this now, don't I? I have to go over here and click on the button, which means I have to get it to come up. But the problem is that when I'm running the streaming software, it actually causes my browser to become very slow and unresponsive. Oh, it was there, but I clicked twice and I made it go away again. It's going to come back. It's going to take me about 30 seconds to be able to end the stream, so I'm just going to keep talking while I do it. I used to actually go to speech therapy to slow down, because when I was a kid I would talk so fast that my teachers couldn't understand me. And as a result, I had to practice reading and talking slowly. But here we go. I'm clicking on stopping the broadcast, and there it is. I'll see you later.